They've installed something at Downtown Disney. We've got updates on several ride closures coming up, and we'll take a look at Pacific Wharf and try to figure out what Disney's plan is for the upcoming San Fransokyo update. All this and a lot more coming up next on Fresh Baked. Hi guys, David here with Fresh Baked, and I've got some updates for you on construction projects going on around the Disneyland Resort. We've got a bunch of interesting stories actually, including some new ones, but we're going to start in Downtown Disney, where this week I wasn't able to get on the monorail. It's too hot, I assume, because every time I tried, they said no, but we did get this video from Terry Gonzalez on Twitter. It's been just dirt and a hole for months, but now we finally know what that hole was for. It's for whatever this thing is. Per comments on this tweet, it's for stormwater runoff, which is great. It intersects with the conversation we had a few weeks ago about all the recent construction at Disneyland over the years, and that they've been designed to capture stormwater and send it back to the county for recycling. So now all we got to do is figure out what they're going to put on top of it. I think my money right now is on Din Tai Fung. What about you guys? Magic bands are almost here, and one of the extra uses for the bands will be the interactive Batu Bounty Hunter game in Galaxy's Edge. We saw a while back they were installing something next to the garage that's out in front of the Droid Depot. It looks like they're still working on it, and since then, we've been on the lookout for more signs of the game appearing elsewhere. No new walls or construction that we can find, but we did find some symbols appearing on doors throughout the land. Spoiler alert! For those who don't want to know where some of those Batu bounties might be, because I have a feeling these things indicate exactly that, giving you a chance, you can skip. I'll put a marker where you can skip to this point right here. Otherwise, here's one near the refreshing station. Got one next to the blue milk stand. And then across the street from Oga's Cantina, we found these two. I'm sure there's more to come. I think I remember hearing something like a dozen or more particular bounties that you could find, so this is just a small sample. Stay tuned to Fresh Baked as we'll be testing this game out as soon as we're able, once we get that magic band. No news at Tarzan's Treehouse. Looks just like it did last week. This is going to take a while, guys. I really do. I think this is going to take a while before we get any kind of answer here. Every week I do recon at the park. I walk around, see what's new or interesting, just, keeping my eyes open. This week I stopped in Critter Country and found this interesting development. Are they having a shortage of Disney treats? Normally this display is full of Tigger Tails and crispy treats and candied apples, churro toffee, all kinds of stuff. Today, bagged cookies in there? Now, normally I wouldn't include this type of thing in a construction video, but it was just so... it's interesting. Liz gasped when she saw this footage. She was shocked. What's going on, Disney? Are you okay? Is everything okay? Now, I have a feeling this has nothing to do with a shortage of materials. I think it's a shortage of cast. I also tried to get a bow. You might have seen this in our previous video at Tropical Hideaway on Sunday, but I couldn't. There was no hot food service there at all. I was told directly, not enough cast. But it was supposed to be just for the weekend. But I went back on Monday, found the same thing again on Monday. No hot food. Meanwhile, I'm hearing anecdotal stories of these sort of small little organized mini strikes. People are just calling out in an organized way. You're seeing a bunch of people call out to the point where whole sections of a department can't run. We're seeing this in the park, at both Disneyland and DCA, and in the resorts, at the hotels. And all of this, I think, has to do with what we reported in a video a few days ago, that Disney was still going through a cast shortage, and it was going to be getting worse due to their new attendance policy. This is a sort of preemptive response to that new attendance policy. And I sure hope they figure this out soon because, shopping for tasty treats at Pooh Corner is one of the pure joys of Critter Country. So it's kind of a bummer finding boxed shortbread cookies there instead. And I'm drawing attention to this because it's affecting the guest experience. The attendance policy isn't just affecting cast, it's affecting the guest experience. I'm just going to keep putting that out there. Okay. By the way, while I was at Pooh Corner, I got my first visual of Munchkins. These are the latest Disney collectible craze. There's Wishables, there's Nuimos, and now we've got Munchkins. Disney food crossed with Disney characters made into plushes. They're cute. You can find them all over the place right now, but well, Critter Country is where I found them most recently. I think they've been out. They haven't been out for very long, so keep an eye out. They're kind of fun. I also stopped by Toontown to take a peek. Can't really see much, of course. There's the very top of the El Capitan Theater. I also tried to catch anything, whatever I could get in between the wall and the bottom of the train bridge. Not much here, but that there is the road, the surface, the path into Toontown. And I'm not sure what state this is in, what I'm looking at here. It's hard to tell if that's dirt with rebar on top, which seems likely, or some kind of applied surface, because it looks a little too clean and organized to be dirt and rebar. Could be an applied surface. It's a thing. You guys can let me know. We'll go to DCA. If you're trying to get into the animation building on Hollywood Boulevard, you can't. Not directly anyway. All access to the main area, that sort of common area in the middle, that's closed off. You can't get in. But you can still do the Animation Academy and Turtle Talk with Crush. You can find Turtle Talk by going past off the page towards the restrooms. The signs will be obvious. You can find it. Just follow the path and you'll enter from the side. Then queue up as you normally would for Turtle Talk. Queue for the Animation Academy is actually outside the building along Hollywood Boulevard. You'll queue here and then enter the show building through this side door. It's wild. I find that very interesting that we're entering through that side door. I believe it'll be this way through the Halloween season. I'm pretty sure this is a Oogie Boogie Bash situation where they leave Oogie Boogie on stage during the day. Let's go back to Disneyland. There's been a small change in operations at the Main Street Emporium. At the Crystal Arcade entrance, they've removed the cash wrap station, and now it's mobile checkout only here. Now, Disney has been leaning hard into the mobile checkout recently, expanding it all over the park, and now, in this case, literally replacing a physical checkout station completely. You don't have to use mobile checkout. You can take your merchandise to any of the regular cash wrap stations. They're everywhere. But I thought it was interesting to observe that we now have one less cash wrap at the Emporium. I would imagine stand by for more of this. Okay, so now let's get into a conversation that we sort of touched on in our D23 news update a few weeks ago, but I wanted to give it a little bit more detailed look today while we're walking around the park. It was a slow week. At D23, models for Toontown and Tiana's Bayou Adventure were pretty much the focus as far as Disneyland projects go. But one interesting surprise, perhaps the most surprising thing, at least from my perspective, during the parks panel was the mention of updating the Pacific Wharf to a San Fransokyo theme from Big Hero 6. I'm both interested and fearful of this project for the usual reasons that I might suggest for something like this. It's got a lot of potential. I love the imagery in Big Hero 6 and of San Fransokyo, but I worry that they won't give it the proper detail, the proper budget. Bear in mind, the last few projects Disney has taken on have been wins from my perspective. Pelican's Landing is great. I really like what they did at Eudora's Chic Boutique. The Plaza Point gift shop is a definite upgrade for Main Street. And even going back a bit further, the last project completed before the shutdown, Tropical Hideaway. That's terrific. So there's reason to be optimistic. It's just, well, they didn't get into much in the concept art, and this is a bigger situation than any of those projects before. This is the biggest thing that they've done since, I don't know, Pixar Pier, I guess. So let's look at that concept art, and we'll start with the icon of the updated land. Is this a land? Is Pacific Wharf a land? I don't think it is, but maybe it is. I don't know. The San Fransokyo Bridge will be significantly more prominent, bigger, brighter, more colorful, a definite headline. But the rest of the concept art revealed pretty much nothing, only the names of the two dining locations that we can see. The Lucky Cat Cafe, where the Pacific Wharf Cafe is today, and Cocina Cucamonga, just like we know it today. Both locations will not see any changes at all to the actual physical buildings. They will be identical on the outside as they are today, probably. I say this because we did note one small change here at Cocina. They're adding a brewery. Where's it going? I'm pretty sure they're going to use this space here at the far right of the Cocina building. Pretty sure it's not being used, though, by the looks of things. You never see guests going up there. Matter of fact, in this case, they've got tables right in front of that window, so it doesn't have a purpose. It was purpose built to be, it looks, additional food service windows. You can see the little cutouts there for people to go walk up and pick up an order. Now, they could simply repurpose whatever is happening inside into beer service, and voila, you've got Port of San Fransokyo Cerveceria. If they're putting in a brewery, though, within Cocina Cucamonga, it's likely they'll be removing the beer truck in the back part of Pacific Wharf. We theorize that this might be a logical place to put in the promised Baymax meet and greet, as space will definitely be needed, more than a little actually, mostly for the large group of guests who will surely be queuing up to meet him. The most economical thing, in my opinion, would be to post him here at the beer truck, then run the queue back and into Cars Land behind him. Next, for some reason, I've got a bad feeling about Rita's. It doesn't really fit theme-wise, and it kind of gets in the way of traffic. If it stays, I'm wondering what else they might serve. Does it even have to be alcohol? It can't be food. There's no real kitchen to speak of in there. Just enough space to store what's needed for mixing the drinks. We know already that the Pacific Wharf Cafe will become the Lucky Cat Cafe. Do we assume this will be some kind of Asian cuisine then? I mean, it seems reasonable. Easy to assume Chinese, however, the mix here is San Francisco and Tokyo. Not Chinese? Would they make that distinction? I feel like they would and should. Oh my gosh, is it possible? Is it possible we're getting this could be the first sushi restaurant inside a Disney park? If so, I am suddenly a huge fan of this update. I'm on board. If we can get a sushi joint at Disneyland, that's something I've been asking for years. Then there's the Bodine Bakery Tour, which at first I thought had a good chance to stick around. It does fit the San Francisco side of things, and it's also where they make the literal bread bowls served at the Pacific Wharf Cafe. But if it's going to be the Lucky Cat Cafe, will they still even need bread bowls? The theming of the dining location could spell doom for the bakery tour. Hopefully, if it does go, they at least replace it with something similar, because I love small little bits of entertainment like this in the parks. I like the Bodine tour. Ghirardelli's, I'm afraid to say, is most likely done for. I've heard its lease is up. It's a third-party shop. Disney doesn't own Ghirardelli. Ghirardelli is a privately owned company. If so, it becomes the leading candidate for the gift shop that they mentioned at D23, which leaves the Lucky Fortune Cookery. No chance they have two Asian-themed restaurants next to each other, both with the word Lucky in their name. So this is getting some kind of change, name change at minimum, food theme change likely, who knows. Now, what's going to wind up there is anybody's guess. We can blue sky this. What kind of dining location could fit either a San Francisco theme or a Tokyo theme and also not be Asian themed? Would they not have two different Asian themed restaurants? Maybe not. What about maybe a boba bar? Ooh, maybe this is where you get your clam chowder in a bread bowl. Thus, that saves the Bodine Bakery tour. Or what else? Mochi. What about mochi? This is getting interesting. Fresh Baked, let us know your thoughts below. What do you think could go at the Lucky Fortune Cookery? What would you vote for? Okay, and then finally, let's take a quick look at attractions that will be closing soon for various reasons. It's a Small World. We'll be closing on October 24th to get ready for the holiday overlay. It'll be closed for about 2 weeks, reopening for the beginning of the holiday season on November 11th. The Columbia closed yesterday, but it'll be down for just a couple of days, and that'll be back on the 29th in time for its weekend run for Fantasmic. Redwood Creek Challenge will close on November 1st, the day after Halloween, to remove the Villain's Grove skin. That should take just a few days. Monsters, Inc., which had been closed and has since reopened while they continue to work on the facade, will close again on November 2nd. No known date for its return as of yet. I wonder if the reason they reopened it at all, when they did, was simply to have it as an option during the Halloween season, being monsters and all. Which does suggest, if they're closing it again, is it possible that they're doing something else to the attraction besides just the facade? I mean, there's no reason to close the attraction if it is just the facade. And whatever it is that they were doing before that caused it to close before, they're not done. The mind boggles. Okay, that's it for this week, Fresh Baked. Thanks for joining us. Follow us on Instagram at _FreshBaked, on Twitter at FreshBakedDisney. That's fresh with no E. and on TikTok at Fresh Baked Disney. And if you like our show and want to show your support, please do consider joining our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/freshbaked. Otherwise, thanks again for watching, everybody. We love you. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. And Fresh Baked.